Hey all, here OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of the Makibes G04. This is a smart bracelet or smart band that has built-in GPS, which is pretty unique because that's typically a feature found on more expensive and bulkier large smartwatches. This is actually the most compact design I've seen. The GPS chip actually supports 3 modes, so you can see that here, including BeiDou, so it is pretty accurate and should get a lock very quickly. Furthermore, it has a battery life that lasts up to 14 days before you need to recharge it again, and it comes in 3 colors for the band strap, red, black, and blue, so you can pick the version that you like the most. Here's a quick demo of what the notifications would look like on the ads. What's interesting is it uses a regular USB port for charging as opposed to a pogo or a proprietary magnetic charger, so you need to pull out one of the straps on the band in order to access that USB port. Inside we have just the instruction manual, also very simple, printed both in Chinese and English, with the QR code that you can scan to download the companion app, and we have just the band itself. Starting with the design, the G4 is very typical looking. It's not anything different from other trackers that we've seen before, pretty lightweight and relatively small. Comparing it with something like a Mobvoi TicWatch Pro, you can see how much more compact it is. With that being said, to pack in all of the sensors, it is a little bit thicker than, say, the Amazfit Bip, as you can see here on the top. When you open up the silicone strap, which is very comfortable, you can notice 2 little bumps. The first one here actually says GPS, that's where the GPS module is. The top here features a battery status, and that's the side that you can actually remove to access the USB port for charging. Now, with that being said, actually accessing this and removing it every time is actually a difficult affair because of how tightly the band is snapped into place. So every single time you have to use a lot of force and resistance just to remove it. I wish that there was an easy latch or mechanism, but anyways, it does prevent any water from leaking in because of how tightly sealed it is. We have the aforementioned optical heart rate sensor, and otherwise it's very comfortable even for long-term wearing, just because, again, how lightweight it is. Although it's not the brightest panel, it still is relatively easy to see, and as far as IPS displays go, it offers pretty good viewing angles. There's a slight gap between the display and the screen underneath, which can provide some extra glare, but overall outdoors it didn't have too many problems as far as viewing back content on the screen. Anyways, we have access to the time as well as the day of the week, battery status, and the Bluetooth connection status. I can long hold on this main screen to change the watch face immediately. And then once more, we can change it to an analog watch face, which actually is pretty neat, before cycling back onto the more sporty design, as you can see here. Now we can swipe down to have access to the number of steps you've walked, as well as the calories burned and the distance converted to kilometers or miles. I can tap once to see how many steps I've walked throughout the entire week. Swiping down again shows my heart rate, and this is a always-on heart rate monitor that you can actually turn on to give you a measurement every hour or so, and you're able to see a real-time log of your changes throughout the entire day. So it works pretty well. It takes about 20 seconds to do a heart rate test. Now this is not an ECG monitor, however, so it doesn't have the electrodes that you see on the front, like on some of the other more health-oriented trackers that we've reviewed in the past. The next function is sports, and it gives me all the different activities that I can track, including running with the GPS activated, as you can see there. So if I want to just tap on that, it will begin trying to find a GPS lock. And there we go, it's found a lock already. It will be doing a continuous heart rate monitoring while in the sports session, as well as tracking number of steps you've walked. I can also swipe down to see the distance and more information like my speed as I'm traveling along. And here I can also see the battery remaining, as well as the time that has elapsed since the activity began and the strength of the GPS reception. Again, we're indoors right now, so it's super strong. It's able to still get a lock in under 20 seconds. Other sports that you can track include hiking, also with GPS, cycling, again with GPS. This one is going to be sports like soccer or badminton without GPS, but with the heart rate tracking, and then just leaves back onto the main menu. Swiping down again, I can take a look at settings. So on here, I can change the vibration mode. I can change the adjustment of the display brightness. I can also change the GPS settings if I want to turn it off manually. The app is called H+, and once you launch into it, it will try to connect when the Bluetooth is turned on. You can then pull down to refresh the data. You'll be able to immediately see the number of steps that you walked today, and if the bar reaches the full circle, it means you've completed your daily goal, which you can set under settings. For example, 8,000 or 10,000 2,000 steps might be my personal goal. Now, one of the problems I had when testing it out is sometimes the reconnection with Bluetooth seems to be a bit finicky. So it may take, a minute or two before it will refresh and connect itself with the band. We can also see the sleep tracking information if we slide over onto the right here, and I can take a look at the activity tab that brings along the GPS tracking. So for example, driving around with my friends the other day, you can see it's traced the route on the map for the car actually very well, and it's also labeled the distance, in this case 11.9 kilometers, duration in about 30 minutes, the calories burned, because it's successfully detected that I haven't done too many steps because, again, I was just sitting in the car. I'm actually able to tap on the map to see a full screen view and interact with it. It's basically just using Google Maps to see where you started and where you ended. And you're also able to see your distance here, your average pace. I can tap on here to see my average heart rate as well, as it's logged continuously. I can tap on my device to take a closer look at its battery status remaining, what types of notifications I want to pass through, as well as whether I want to have the motion sensors turned on, that flick to wake, which I have it turned off right now just to conserve on battery, whether I want the all-day heart rate tracking to be turned on or off, things like that. To see more details, I can tap on the map below here and I can swipe through the past few days when I was doing a test with it. So you can see exactly at what zones and points in time you were the most active. Really, the only problem is, again, the syncing speed, which is just taking a lot longer than I'm used to. Sometimes it will just not connect with the band. You have to kind of wake it up from sleep yourself, make sure that the Bluetooth is turned on, and then kind of go over and sometimes restart the Bluetooth a few times in order to get it to sync up, which I definitely think needs improvement. Luckily, I think that's mostly a software thing that they can fix easily if they improve, again, the app performance. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Makibes G04. Again, this is the most lightweight and compact wearable I've seen on the market that has a built-in GPS chipset. It's very comfortable to wear, and the performance is actually surprisingly good, both for the reception of the GPS, as well as the accuracy of the heart rate, the steps, and even the sleep tracking. The only downsides are, again, number one, the app. The syncing time, at least with the Xiaomi phone I've been trying it with, is taking a little bit too long for my liking. And the second thing is I'm not a huge fan of the fact that you have to remove one of the watch ends in order to access the USB charging slot. I just think that it takes too much effort and resistance and could wear off in the future, so I would have really preferred a charging point on the back instead. But anyways, if you're looking for one of the lightest and smallest wearables that has built-in GPS, but you don't want to spend an arm and a leg on a more expensive full-blown smartwatch, this might be worth a closer look. So you can check out more details in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Makibes G04 GPS band.